TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Each of you guys had different versions of how you made the deal to get back into WCW. Whoever wants to go first, can you guys explain again how that all went down since you guys are both together now?
The one, as far as when we came in with Bischoff?
Yeah.
You started it.
Yeah, I had a couple of meetings with Vince and asked for more money. And I thought I had some creative solutions because at that time it wasn't a public company, it was private. So it was the way I believe Vince viewed it was if he made more money, he made less. So I went to him and said, well, how about more merchandise? You know, could you move the decimal point over a little bit on the, you know, it really helped the Hall family. The Mann family really missed it. You know? Oh, no, I give you the same and I give Diesel, Taker, and Sean, no, maybe in the future, but not now.
So how about Japan?
Yeah, exactly. I go to Japan. We have 10 weeks a year to go to Japan. Still want to work for you. Well, I'm not going to say no because I let back and I go, but as soon as I have you over there, I need you here. So no. So it's like, oh. And actually, Kid had been talking to Barry Bloom. And Vince had, when you were working for Vince, you're so busy making towns, you don't even think that anybody else has an interest in you.
Let alone that there's actually a world going on, you know, besides what you're doing.
I can remember one time driving to a town somewhere, and in the car, Sean, Kev, and I, basically the main event, semi-main, or whatever town we're going to, and we're driving all the way there going, and I'm thinking, God, what if we'll have time to eat?
Yeah.
And thinking, how ridiculous is that?
Like instead of being late to the building, we'll just pass on a meal and go to the main. We were so like what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome, right? When you're kidnapped and you fall in love with your captor. It was just like we were like, you know. I remember another time we were overseas and they were like, "Do you think they'll hold the plane when you were trying to get some McDonald's like in Frankfurt?" Remember Mach? You guys went.
I went because I said they won't leave Mach. They won't leave Mach. I'm going with Mach.
But that was the same thing. It was just like.
But see, Mach didn't know. Mach didn't know they wouldn't leave him.
No.
We had to coach him up because I think, I don't know, if I ran a company, maybe I would do it that way too. But the way I remember my first match in Madison Square Garden, I was wrestling at Mach. And I'm standing outside the curtain waiting to go out. They play my music, so I'm getting ready to go at the time that I always go out. Vince goes, wait, make him wait. So then I say, oh, cool. Wow, good idea. You know? So then, but then I start stretching because now he says, make him wait. And now I'm making him wait. Like, I'm stretching, he goes, okay. A little bit longer, pal. But he's, you know, he would pump you up kind of like, and I don't mean this negatively. I think it was the way he did business and it worked for him and worked for all of us. It was like, man, they're all here to see you. You're a big effing star. Everybody here is here to see you. Go out there and tear the house down. So you go, yeah. And then when you come back, you know, you're lucky you got a job.
Right.
You know, because there's 10 guys waiting who will do it for less.
You kept you on your feet.
Never said, it was just kind of, it was the way I felt. Yeah. I got a lot of insecurities and issues, you know. It was just, I always felt like, oh God, you know, if I had a bad match or not, a match that I was pleased with.
But I remember that one time we were overseas. It was like a 22, 23-day bus trip. And it's like day 2 into it, and the heel bus, air conditioner bus, just fucking, it's not working at all. It's hot as shit. It's humid. And one of the agents is like, nah, the air conditioner's not busted. I'm like, dude, the fucking refrigerator doesn't work. I mean, the refrigeration, it's just, now it's another day onto it. So finally, we're in the back and all the guys are sitting in their underwear playing cards. It's so hot on the bus. And I was the champion at the time. And I just like, I said to him, I said, you know what, man, fuck this. I said, I told Tony Gurria, I said, Tony, you need to tell Vince that we're not working tomorrow unless this fucking bus gets fixed. That's for me and the rest of the boys in the heel bus. Lo and behold, fucking next morning, that bus was fixed. But it was just like one of those situations. But when I said it and I went to bed that night, I didn't sleep a wink because I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a ticket fucking home in the morning because, you know, how dare you fucking say that the conditions aren't right. You're lucky to have a fucking job. That's it.
But, you know, as time went on, it's guys like, I always feel there's 2 times when you have power. When you don't have anything and you don't care, or when you're secure and you don't care. Like, because I'm sure Warrior would have sat on that bus with no AC. But I get it, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
the bitchy wheel gets the grease, you know? Like, I remember it wasn't long after that when we started saying, tell them to get Corona or Sol beer. Get the Mexican beer. We're not drinking that fattening ass German beer. Have 10 cases of beer on that bus, iced down every night.
Yeah, because I
And
mean,
they
you
started
drive
doing
you drive for 5 hours and you drink that damn German beer. You know, it's one thing if you drink 1 or 2 beers a night when you're like us, a couple of cone heads, and you're drinking, 24
Just
beers
until they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop and get more.
But I mean, it's a completely different situation. But it was one of those deals like if you then it becomes a situation where it's like a kid that cries. You know, it doesn't take them long to realize that the only way I'm going to get these people to respond to me is to fucking be a prick and a bitch. I remember one time me and Hunter
And
were,
as the man, you kind of
Right.
You're the champ.
you have to do that for the boys. Like you're the one, and there were champions in front of us that didn't do that. They just were worried about themselves and didn't give a fuck about what happened to the guys that were underneath them. And I remember one time me and Hunter, he drove with me and we got low on gas. It was a blizzard. We left late. It was pretty new. And we were going, I think it was to Wilkes-Barre to do a television taping. And we're dragging our
Almost
bag.
Frank Zane,
I believe it was. And we get to the back door and I said, watch this and learn. Because they were fucking furious because I had a ton of interviews. I took my foot, I kicked that back door and I walked in and I said, who the fuck booked this shithole? And everybody just went from complete offense to going, oh. And I just screamed all the way into the locker room. Just anybody that just went off, just went like it was like a whirlwind. Now anybody that would have saw that would have went, Nash, what a fucking asshole. It was a game. The whole fucking business is a work. And I'd go in the locker room, sit down and go, okay, now.
You're pretty convincing when you do that.
Well, I've had some practice.
You're pretty good at it.
I'm a good screamer. I can ask anybody that's much
Remember that
better.
trick for him?
Did any of the boys ever say anything to you guys about something you might have said about them during a match where you guys did commentary on? Where you guys used to do like the semi-shoot comments and stuff?
Everybody hated us. I mean, it was no doubt about it.
We were pretty I felt, from my point of view, I don't know, Kevin may agree or disagree. I think we were kind of used to being hated. If you're on top of it for Vince, you're hated anyway. The only guys who don't hate you is your little clique of guys you hang with.
Or maybe that guy if he's working that angle with you, for 6 months and he's on top with it, then because there's always that bond when you work with a guy for a long period of time because you got to trust him with your body every night. But besides that, I always felt blessed that in New York, I had 4 guys I could count on. And I used to look around that locker room and be like, there ain't nobody else in this locker room, that when push comes to shove, these 2 guys might travel together, but one of them said, one of you got to go. You got to tell me why you need to stay. He'd fucking cut that guy's throat in a minute. And I always knew that. I thought that was the power that we had is when it came down to it. Like I remember sometimes like when he and I were working Survivor Series, and he worked the whole fucking match. I worked like 85% of it, and Sean was on the apron the whole match. He came in and Scott did something, and I hooked Scott. Scott ducked. Sean kicked me. So we're all on the phone that next week, or make this like a couple months later, actually, because it used to take about 90 days to get
I
paid.
got paid more than
Fucking Scott goes, how much you get us? I got 35. He goes, I got 35 too. Sean goes, I got 50. We went fucking
in a bearskin, right?
Yeah, and a bearskin. But it was that motherfucker. But like he didn't do anything the whole match. He just came in and threw a kick, and he got 50 grand. So then we called him on it, and they're like, I could just see JJ. Hello, what the fuck is it? Excuse me, Vince. They're fucking talking to each other.
Yeah, which was unheard of.
Right.
I mean, maybe some guys did it before.
And then Vince gives you, they're right here. Vince is right here, JJ's right here. Yeah, really? Let me talk to JJ. They do fucking know. We'll make it up to you. It's just like, And then at that point right then, all right, we've been getting fucked forever. And then, it's like anything else. When somebody gives you an offer at that point, it's just like, gee, I wonder why they left. And we're the bad guys. We're the fucking bad guys.
Somehow we did an interview with Kamal, and he said that he went ahead and saw the books of what he got paid when he worked with Hogan, and the difference was ridiculous, he said. He went to the office, and they were like, they gave more money or something.
Yeah.
good. I'm glad he got more money, but I mean, I always try to look at all sides of it. You know, the idea is if you're the boss, like even sometimes we knew we were getting screwed, but Vince knew, like when you first got there, you're making the best money you ever made in the wrestling business. You feel like you should be making more because, you know, if you see a lot of your merchandise around, you're getting a good reaction from the fans or blah, blah, blah. But it's hard to really bitch too much when you're having your best year. And Vince knows that.
Right.
So he could exploit that for a couple of years.
Yeah, there was never a year that we were there that we did make more than the last year. You know, so it was like you never went backwards. So it's just like, and at the same time, how much you want to bitch, you know, and then you're making $800,000. It's just, you know, when you're bouncing, making $75,000 a year, and guys are pulling shivs and guns and everything else.
Yeah, but the girls are naked.
The girls are naked.
And sometimes
I'll tell you what, yeah, sometimes, I'll tell you, working in the strip joint, man, was there ever a fucking day you didn't want to go to work? I don't remember any.
I remember I got so callous to it that I used to like it at the end of the night when the chicks would put their sweaters and jeans on. Like, I go, wow, look at her. You know, you see them in clothes. And,
First road trip, me, you and Sean started traveling together.
yeah, you came in as Sean's bodyguard.
Yeah, and I had known Scott, and Scott and Sean had already like built an alliance.
So yeah, we had all the heat up there. We had all the heat up there.
I'm going to definitely.
Obnoxiously happy.
I'm definitely going to talk about that coming up. I guess, can you guys talk about the pressures of being a top guy in the business?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else when you're on the top. I mean, you're a target for everybody that's below you. You know, it's when you're on your way up, everybody loves you, including the fans. You know, like he should be getting a bigger push, but as soon as you make it to the top, then it's like all of a sudden, you know, the smarts don't like you anymore because they know you're top. You know, it's like, well, we hate all top guys, so we're gonna hate him. And I don't know. It just I try to look at it like it was a dream come true for me because I'd always been labeled. You know, it was Downs' idea to give me the black hair and the stubble and the whole gimmick. You know, he changed my look for me. And because I'd been around about 5 years and I thought, God, I'm pretty big and I can work a little bit and I can interview a little bit. But I had that label like something's missing. He doesn't have it. He doesn't, you know. So for me to, I remember when I called Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, and said, if I'm destined to be a job guy in wrestling, I would rather do it in New York.
Right.
Because Barry Horowitz has baseball cards. Vince points his camera at everybody, and it's like you get your swings at the bat. You know, you get your swings. You know, and maybe you strike out, maybe you hit a single, maybe you hit it out of the park. But at least you get a chance. At WCW, like Kevin and I talked about before, your position is determined before you ever have a match because your contract is signed before you perform. So if you make $750,000 a year and I make $75,000 a year, I'm never going to beat you. Even if I get a better crowd response or something like that. That's when the people who are making decisions are making them based on that. So
right.
Yeah, it's almost like a hierarchy. You know,
but to the question about pressure being on top, we were so the way I think we all benefited from the way Vince ran his company at that time. It was kind of a Shark Tank environment. It was real competitive. And everybody wanted to be on top. And everybody watched all the matches. And you know, up there, you're only as good as your last performance.
Right.
You know? So, and when you came back from the ring, if they had agents who, you know, when one agent was in charge of box office, one agent was watching the matches. And he was watching them. And when you came back, if it wasn't up to your standards or their standards, they would say something to you.
Right.
You know, what are you sick? You know, what's the matter? You don't feel good? You know, taking a night off?
TitleMatchNetwork.com